All right, here we go.
Right. So we'll start off with part numbers for couplers, and then we'll talk part numbers for multifasters. And then we'll talk a little bit about the skid steer blocks. Those part numbers are a lot simpler, so that will be pretty quick. But when you're looking at a faster part number, there's typically, at least for the couplers, there's sort of three components to the part number. The first section would be the series and the body size. The second is going to be your thread information, what type of thread is on the coupler. And then the third is just male or female, if you're looking at a male or female. So the series and body size, you'll see here on the screen, we've got HMV 38. That's an HMV series, that's an ISO B poppet style coupler. And then the FFH 08 is half-inch flat face, ISO 16028. So you've got letters and then a number that describes the body size. And thread information comes second. There'll typically be some numbers followed by letters to designate what type of thread. You'll see either SAE, MPT, gas for BSPP. And then at the end, there will be an M or an F for male or female. So that's pretty straightforward.
So 38 is 3/8, 12 is half. Kind of like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So, yeah, so we'll get to that. It can vary actually. In the past, we used like that fractional style where 12 means 1/2, 38 means 3/8. But in newer couplers, we've started to move towards a dash style where it's out of 16. So like a dash 08 would be a 1/2 inch and a dash 12 would be 3/4. So that gets a little confusing, but we'll cover that.
A lot of the competitors will go M2 D2 or something like that, or
yeah, and then inverse it for the male. Yeah. So for us, this is kind of a somewhat hard and fast rule, Andrew. So like ISO A is gonna mostly be on the fractional style, the 3/8.
Yeah, where 12 will mean 1/2.
Yeah, so so if you want to think of it in that way,
the ISO A only goes to 1/2 inch. Is that what you said?
So and I don't know, Andrew, if you're asking a question, you're muted. I just want to let you know. But so ISO A and
I'm sorry.
B. No, you're all good. ISO A and B is gonna have the fractional system for the most part. So you'll see an NV12, which will mean that's a 1/2 inch body size NV. Our ISO B, which will follow a similar system, which is gonna be an HNV12. So that'll be a 1/2 inch body size ISO B. Now with our flat face, we went to the dash system. So a 1/2 inch flat face will be FFH 08. So yeah, but that's a general. So sorry for interrupting.
Yep. Correct. No.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
The difference between ISO A and ISO B is ISO A the ag stuff?
Generally speaking, you can, so just like anything with hydraulics in life, right? It's hard to find hard and fast rules. You will sometimes see an ISO A in an industrial application, but generally speaking, yeah, you're going to think of it as ISO A equals ISO agriculture, right? And then ISO B is going to be more industrial applications. You'll see them more in factories, maybe more manufacturing processes. Sometimes, like I said, some industrial applications will use an ISO A, but generally speaking, yeah, you're going to see an ISO A in agriculture type applications.
And the ISO A, I'm sorry for all the dumb questions, but the ISO A is it always true that those are the type that will come apart if you pull on them hard enough?
So a standard ISO A still has that small safety sleeve that you would need to retract for them to disconnect. But it's an older technology, so if you experience backflow in the line, an array of issues could, yes, disconnect it. Which is why we have made our ISO A that has the ability to stay connected with backflow and all that. But yeah, generally speaking, you'll see more issues with an ISO A from a disconnection or just because it's an older technology. I mean, if the system is correctly spec'd out, you shouldn't have any issues with the normal ISO A, but sometimes if there is any variations, I would say if there's going to be a coupler that's going to have a problem, it would be ISO A just because it's an older technology. What do you think, Andrew? I mean, am I speaking to generally?
We
I was
have
thinking
we make a lot of ISO A's that are push-pull.
Yeah. Now, you had mentioned before that if someone forgets to disconnect them on the tractor and they drive off and leave the implement on the ground, that it will come apart, so it doesn't just rip everything to shreds.
Right. And we
yeah,
designed
yep.
ours like that. There's a good amount of push-pull that other competitors are using, but it is like a step up from a standard ISO A. Yeah, that would be an added feature.
That is not the ISO A, or is that the ISO A?
That would be an ISO A female, but you would just be taking a regular, what we were talking about would be an NV12 NPT ... and you would put it in the female of that push-pull. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All
but
right,
you're thinking right. That ISO A, the John Deere type coupling, that does have push-pull, has all those features. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Sal.
And there is no dumb question. Definitely ask anything that you can think of.
I'll sit back and listen here.
Yeah, because ISO A is used very widely. We sell a lot of them. We have many different ISO A couplers with different functionality, like that disconnect, automatic disconnect, or connect under pressure as well. So back to this slide. The first part of the part number indicates the type of coupler. It's usually a few letters, and sometimes there's a number. There is some sort of reasoning between what letters are used. However, as you'll see here, sometimes an H will mean a flat face screw. Sometimes an H will mean an ISO 16028. Sometimes a V means screw type. Sometimes V means poppet. So while the letters are chosen to mean something, it's pretty difficult to decipher exactly what they mean all the time. So we do have guides for them, but I typically don't use them just because there's multiple interpretations for each letter. So,
yes.
Typically, you'll just kind of learn, hey, an FFH is our ISO 16028. What each of those Fs and H's mean is, you don't need to know that, and it can be tough to try to decipher it by yourself. So another key point to these part numbers is you'll sometimes see a number in front of the part number, and that can indicate the complexity of the internal valving. So an FFH part number just has one valve and has no connect under pressure feature, whereas if you see a 3 FFH, the 3 here indicates that there's a 3-stage valve and it can connect under pressure. Other couplers, the 3 will stand for connect under pressure functionality, but it doesn't always directly indicate a 3-stage valve. Like our 3 CPV or 3 CFHF, the 3 is symbolic of that connect under pressure feature, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there's 3 valves inside. But whenever you see a 3 or a 4 in front of a part number, that's standing for that connect under pressure ability.
Yeah, and that's the key of this slide for sure is, like you said, if you see a 3 in front of any of the series, or a 4, which I think we'll add that when I'll send you guys this slideshow as well. But a 3 or 4 will indicate it has the ability to connect under pressure. Predominantly, you'll see a 3. Sometimes you'll see a 4. just know a 3 or 4 will mean connect under pressure, and we'll have a note for that.
Yeah, with the skid steer blocks, they're 4 FFH cartridges. And again, that's connect under pressure. They don't have a 3-stage valve design, so they used a 4 instead of a 3 to indicate that there's connect under pressure, but it's not the same type of pressure relief as in the 3. But same outcome, connect under pressure. So kind of going back to what we talked about earlier with our newer, faster coupler ranges, the size, the body size of the coupler is identified by dash size, where it's a fraction of 16ths. So if you see a 4 FFH 08, the 08 is 8/16ths, which stands for a half-inch body size. If you see 4 FFH 12, that's indicating 12/16ths or a 3/4 body size. Again, where that gets confusing is older, faster couplers like our agricultural products. They were identified by like a fractional size. So there, the 3/8 just directly means 3/8, and the 12 would indicate a half-inch. So this is where you'll get into a little confusing situation where if you see NV12 in this part number, the 12 means half-inch. In this part number where it's a dash size, it means 3/4 inch. Again, that really is only confusing with that dash 12 size. FFI was an older style coupler. It's been replaced by the FFH. But here, these two part numbers look pretty much identical. But in the old style, this was a fraction, and so it stands for half-inch. In the new style, it's a dash, so it stands for 3/4.
And don't worry too much about memorizing everything. You know, me and Andrew will be a resource too if anything, you know, is confusing.
Right. Yeah. Just kind of giving you an overview, but as always, definitely reach out to one of us if there's any confusion, because they definitely do get confusing. And then last piece of information besides the male and female would be the thread call out. Thread call outs often look like 12 SAE or 14 MPT. That would be just a standard female thread. So 12 SAE is a half-inch. ORB thread, female, and 14 MPT is a fraction, 1/4 inch PT thread, female.
The thread
all
part
of our threads are always in that fraction.
Yeah, the thread part of our part number is usually pretty easy, I feel. If I'm you guys, 90% of our business is going to be done with the first bullet point through an SAE. You know, so if it's half-inch SAE, it'll say 1/2 SAE. If like this example, and if it's a 1/4 inch MPT, it'll be 1/4 MPT. But I wouldn't worry, Andrew and Doug, about memorizing the male threads or the non-standard female threads. I've been doing this for 5 years and I still don't know those, but generally speaking, if you see the SAE or MPT, that's going to be the main threads that we deal with. But not that it's not important to know that we do those other threads. For example, Doug, like what we're doing with lore is going to be from that, you know, the second and third part number that are going to be that dash 13 or 14, but we don't sell a ton of that. But yeah, sorry, Andrew.
Yeah, so if you're looking at for a male thread, like O-ring face seal, JIC, or ORB, those are typical male threads. There'll be a slash designation, or it'll be 1/ and then the thread size, or 12/ and then the thread size. 11/ is the O-ring face seal, 13 is JIC.
So that is where it kind of gets different, where you would say 12 SAE on this for the female thread, you'd have a half-inch. The 14 could mean half-inch male JIC.
No, 14.
So you would see
14's
13/12. 13 slash indicates male JIC, and then the 12 would indicate the 1/2 inch thread size.
Okay.
I wouldn't worry as much about that, Doug, honestly.
I just called it out because that's one we're prototyping.
Right. And then so ours, I think, is 14 dash, right? They're doing the one without the nut or the one, no, they're doing the one with the nut. So
They're doing one of each.
Okay.
Not all of them have the nut.
So I think the nutted ones is 13 dash, and then the one without the nut involved is 14 dash. And I don't remember what size male JIC those were, but
Yeah, the bulkhead would be 14 slash 12S would be a 1/2 inch JIC with the bulkhead, not.
does that make sense?
Yes. And the 13 is the exact same thing. Male JIC also, but it is that is actually a little bit shorter because it doesn't have the bulkhead requirement.
Correct. Yep.
That's why we mixed the 13 and 14 of this project, just to save a little bit of space.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. So that pretty much covers that. Just a review for where to find your part numbers on the body. So basically we kind of have two different styles of coupler here. On the left is a coupler where it's a 2-piece design, where this coupler you can swap out this, or when we manufacture them, we'll attach a different adapter to it depending on your thread needs. So the coupler style and body size will be engraved on the body of the coupler, and then the thread will be on the adapter. So to get the full part number, you have to find the body engraving and the thread engraving. We also make unibody designs where there's not like a separate adapter. It's all one piece. So then on those style of couplers, the whole part number will be engraved somewhere on the coupler. This.
So can you swap those if they're 2-piece? Can you swap that back in the field? You can go from
we
ET
no,
to
we
SE?
do not. We don't offer kits for that.
It's milled in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, they're attached in the factory. So, but that's just why in some of our couplers you'll see the part numbers kind of spread out. Half of it's on the body, half of it's on the thread. Just because during manufacturing, those are two parts that come together.
Okay.
Here's kind of an overview of the whole thing. Again, as you can see here, we've got many different meanings for all these letters. So I wouldn't really refer to this. It's very confusing. Again, the H can mean ISO B, and H can mean ISO 16028, and H can mean flat face screw. So, but this is kind of showing a breakdown of this particular part number, FFH 08, and FFH is our flat face. 08 here stands for 1/2 inch. The 13 slash in this part number shows a JIC stud end. And then 5/8S is a 5/8 inch thread, and then F stands for female.
When we were doing our review before this presentation, I was telling Andrew maybe we shouldn't even have this, but no, it's a helpful sheet, like he said. And when I give you guys the part number, I'll exit this out. But don't worry about the style, type, and valving, the first 3 fields. The coupling size, thread configuration, thread size, thread type, all that stuff can be helpful, as you might see some of those in the field. But yeah, when I send you this presentation, I'll X out the style, type, and valving, so it'll be easier for you guys to remember.
Yeah, this is pretty confusing and generally doesn't really help you decode. But these other fields can be useful. Here we've just shown like the most common male threads. This would just be a standard male O-ring boss, O-ring face seal with the bulkhead. JIC male thread with the bulkhead, and then 61 slash, we see this sometimes on flat faces where it's a 90 degree. adapter, but that's rare. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about multifasters.
And they're on
Do
a
you typically
completely
sell many
different.
multifasters?
Andrew?
Not that I know of. I don't. I mean, I don't really think so. I don't
Let me
really
see if
know.
They're
here's
pretty
a better
easy.
image of kind of what they look like.
If you're dealing with combines, maybe.
Yeah, I don't like remember seeing these.
Okay. Honestly, if you don't see them, I think we can just probably provide her the resources for those as they come. Then we don't have to inundate you with more information than needed.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, it's part numbers generally kind of follow a
And
similar rule here,
the main
but there's more
thing,
information.
it still follows. If you see it for Doug, if you still see a 3 in front of it, that's going to give it the ability to connect under pressure. But can you go back to the previous slide, Andrew?
Yeah, so
The one,
here's illustration.
the one
So yeah,
before
the one on the
that.
left, you'll see the smaller couplers here. The 2P, they've got 2 valves. The second valve is just to protect the seals. Doesn't actually let them connect under pressure. A 3P part number has 3 internal valves, similar to the FFH.
Right.
That allows for connection under pressure.
So in the field, Doug, if you see this elongated coupler on the multifaster on the right side, that's going to mean it has the ability to connect under pressure. But I'll be able to call that out if I see the picture. But can you just show them the previous slide just so Doug knows where to look for the part numbers in the field? So yeah, when you're in the field, Doug, if we're trying to identify a multifaster, the part number is either going to be on the back of the actual plate, or some of them are on the other side of the plate where you would go and connect them. Or isn't there some that have both as well, Andrew?
So the male part number here, we've got the M. So this is the male plate. That will always be on the upper
back.
side, kind of where the hoses connect. And for the female, it's on the side that's facing up where the couplers are.
But similar to our other products, because there's variation in the threads, so there's always going to be the same plate for that P508, which is going to be the series of multifaster, Doug. And then to get the thread of the multifaster, you'll look at the actual coupler, the actual cartridge, and that's where that's where the thread will be with the date code. You don't have to remember it by heart. I'll be able to help you in the field, but I just wanted you to know generally where we're going to have you look. On the females, then Andrew, they'll be on the other side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be the side that's facing up.
Okay, so on the female,
Because the females are fixed.
it will not be. It will be on this, not on the coupler side, but yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because for multifaster like this, the P508M plate, you can plug in all sorts of different cartridges. So they could be different. They're always going to be that 08 half-inch size couplers, but they could have any thread on them. So when you're looking at a multifaster in the field, it's important for us to know P508. Okay, this is a half-inch multifaster. Then you're going to have to pull the thread information from the cartridges, because these could be 3/4 inch ORB, they could be half-inch ORB, they could be half-inch JIC, O-ring face seal. There's all sorts of couplers that can go in this P508 plate, and they could
And
be the 3 connect under pressure taller cartridges, or they could just be our standard.
and in most cases, Doug, I'm gonna be like, hey, can you get the part number from the plate? What I'm talking about is the series number. Okay, in this case, it'll be P508. And then a lot of cases, we'll just ask the end user, what kind of thread of hose are you putting on, this multifaster? And then I'll be able to quote it through that. So in a lot of cases, we won't even have to look at the actual multifaster to get the thread, but
All right, so we'll skip over this. but that has resources to help. Multi-faster part numbers are generally a little more straightforward.
They are,
easy
and
to
then
decode.
there's just so many of them too, guys. Like we'll make a whole new part number for a different color of a handle, a different button. So in a lot of cases, I rely on Andrew to help me with the multi-fasters.
Yeah,
So now
for sure.
now we're transitioning to something even a little bit more different, but this will be familiar from our presentation a couple weeks ago. This is skid steer cartridge stuff.
Yep. These are a little simpler too. So basically, we have produced two different types of the skid steer blocks. We've got our current 4BD 4FH style. There's also some older versions of this out in the field, which are the 4BD 4FF12 styles. You can determine the difference. There will be an etching of the different part numbers. Again, the 4FH is our new one. 4FFI is the older version. You can also tell by the couplers finish. The more matte, dull finish is our current 4FH. If you see a shiny finish, that would be the older FFI. The cartridges look very similar, but they are not interchangeable between the different castings. If you've got a 4FH casting, you're going to need to get the 4FFH couplers. If you've got the 4FFI, you're going to need to get the 4FFI cartridges.
80,
I don't know how
90%
many
of
of
the
these you see.
Yeah, on old equipment, Andrew, older than 2000, you'll see the stuff on the right. Anything newer than 2000 is going to be on the left. It may that 2000 year is kind of some OEMs did before, some did after, but either way, 80, 90% of the time you're going to see the old style. I'm going to advocate for you to probably, when we get you to stock 80, 90% of the new ones, and then we'll get maybe a little bit of the old ones, just so if you do have a call on it, you'll have something. But I wouldn't advocate for you to stock a ton of the old ones, just because in my experience we don't sell a ton of them, right? So
yeah, we'll get a couple of requests every now and then for them, but it's 80, 90% definitely for the newer 4FH style. And again, for the 4FH, you can put either 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch cartridges in this casting if you require a higher flow, but the 1/2 inch is the standard cartridge for these. Although I just had a customer I was talking to who wanted to swap out the 1/2 inch for 3/4, so we do find people out in the field who want to upgrade this casting to the 3/4 inch.
the old one will only do 1/2 inch.
Yep.
So if you have
And
a customer
if you're looking for
that
part numbers,
if you have a customer with the old skid steer Andra, older than 2000, and they buy a high flow attachment, they would need to buy a whole new skid steer block to use their high flow attachment, because the old skid steers only have 1/2 inch body. But it hasn't happened to me where I've had that happen. But for what you guys do, I wanted to bring it up.
yep, that's a good point. So then besides the etching on the casting itself, you're probably familiar with
lose
this.
you guys?
This is just
You had shut your camera off, so we didn't know. I didn't know if we had lost you, but you seem good, Doug.
Okay, it kind of went. Yeah, I just turned it off because it was cutting out a little bit. I thought maybe it would
Help the
be
bandwidth.
better, but I think it just was buffering there for a little bit.
And I have it
So.
recorded as well, and I'll send that too.
Okay.
yeah, there's been a little freezing on my end, but mostly it's good. Seems better now. So part numbers for the individual cartridges and the adapters. Again, you can swap out any of these cartridges, so it's hard for us to tell what size cartridge the customer has without visually being able to see. If it says 4, you can barely read it here, but it says 4 FFH12. That's a male cartridge. Or this one's 4 FFH12 female. So those are, again, it's the dash size, so this would be 3/4 inch. And then also we sell a bunch of different adapter configurations for the 4BD. So often when you're trying to get a part number or replacement parts, you'll have to read that part number on the adapter that's screwed into the back of the 4FH casting. These will come in like O-ring face seal, JIC, or female ORB typically is what we sell them as.
The adapters.
Yeah, the adapters on the back of the casting.
You're very rarely ever gonna do a whole block replacement, but if you would need those adapters. But I haven't replaced many blocks in my day. If you need a new block, you probably need a new arm or your skid steer, and there's a bigger problem there.
Yeah. Yep. So that is all the part number presentation that I prepared. Any questions or anything we want to go back and review?
Not for me. I think it was helpful.
Yeah, I thought that was a great presentation because, I mean, I feel like I learned a lot, and especially having it like in visual form, that helps me like more than like that's and especially like
Cool.
having it like explained where I'm like, okay, this is what this means. Here's a visual representation, and at least I can like narrow it down to be able to
you'll have a
y'all,
resource if it gets kind of complicated.
Exactly. Where I'm like, I don't know,
Yeah. Well, if we wouldn't give you the recording and the PowerPoint, you'd have to rely on your memory, which I'm not. I don't remember things as well. You know what I mean? So
exactly, I can't do that.
Mhm.
So there's too much to be able to do that, So
yeah.
But-
Yep.
but yes,
So
I thought that was great. I appreciate it.
There's one more thing that I don't know if you've seen this, but especially for these skid steer blocks, this can be a good resource too that we can send you. But this is basically every kit that we sell or service
Okay.
kit for. This is a specific one, but it gives you an idea of what you can purchase to repair these. We've got the adapter kit, which includes a spring that helps that coupler be able to decompress and
Okay.
release residual pressure. And then again, it's just showing kind of, here's the part number for the male cartridge, the 3/4 inch male cartridge, 3/4 inch female. You
Right.
can get a replacement for the drain line coupler, and then we
Mhm.
sell steel kits that you
When
can
I-
replace the seals in this guy or the male cartridge.
I'll have Andrew send that over to me, and I'm just gonna put a red square around the top two parts because those are the main parts we'll sell.
Okay.
But then, and I'll put some sort of note, and then you'll know, hey, these are kind of the other
Right.
components.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
No, that's very helpful to be able to like, I appreciate it, really. I do.
yeah, and if you're cool, Andrew, just send me over the PowerPoint, and I'll just make those edits that I cited while we were in the presentation. I'll send that over to Andrea and Doug, and then I'll look to see. I remember we discussed. I know for a fact I asked you guys if it was okay to record the last video. Sometimes after a certain amount of time, they delete them. If you don't,
Okay.
if I can find that, I'll send you both of those as well.
Okay.
But the connection guide and the troubleshooting guide, those were just PDF versions of the videos that we went over together. So it should be the same stuff.
Perfect.
So,
Oh, that's good.
and I when I made the connection and troubleshooting guide, I kind of designed it ish with the ability for you to print it off and send it to your guys so
Mhm.
they can see that stuff.
Right.
But yeah, so cool. Works for me. And then the next step for me is gonna be sending you the information that I just called out as far as getting you the edited PowerPoint, get you the 2 videos. Um, and then, you'll have me and Andrew's information if you ever have any other faster or any coupler related questions. And
Okay.
then for me, I'll quote Doug, all the components that we've talked about, our flat
Mhm.
face, skid steers. Would you be interested in, do you guys stock ISO A couplers or no? Like ag couplers?
Possibly. Uh I don't know, just right off the bat. I don't remember.
Okay.
Uh I don't know exactly, but I'll send you over all of I'll send you those. I have it started, but
Yeah, yeah,
gotta
yeah.
find it.
Well,
So yeah.
Andrew's gotten me the information, but I still have yet to been able to tackle the super swivel
Yes.
inquiry too. So, it's no rush. If you want to compile what you guys are doing,
Yeah.
then after we get the super swivel, then we can quote you on the other stuff. Maybe in the
Okay.
meantime, since I know you guys use flat face and skid steer
Mhm.
cartridges,
Mhm.
I'll quote or
That would
I'll
be
send you an
perfect.
email on what threads you use the most, and then
Mhm.
me and Dub can figure out what bundles to quote you. So
Okay.
cool.
Perfect.
All right. So I'll get you the videos. I'll get you this PowerPoint edited, also
Mhm.
this print, and then that'll be good for the training portion. And then I'll focus my energy as far as all time or all things right away is concerned. I'll
Mhm.
focus on quoting the stuff that we talked about, the super swivel quote, and then me, you, and Doug will work together on what threads you're normally using,
Okay.
and if there's other couplers. But
That sounds
yeah,
perfect.
I
Okay.
appreciate your interest in our
Yes, sir.
product. A lot of people, they're not interested, so I really appreciate
Right.
you giving us the time to do that. And
No, I
um,
appreciate y'all taking
Yeah.
the time.
yeah,
Seriously.
and thanks for connecting us, Doug. I really appreciate that as well. And of course, Andrew, thank you for the time and your expertise.
Yes,
It's
sir.
really
Thank you.
helpful. So
Thank you.
Yeah, no
All
problem.
right. I appreciate your help. Hey, if you get some of those catalogs, the big
oh,
catalogs, send me some of those.
yeah, you guys will receive them by end of business tomorrow. Sorry, I meant to tell you I sent them out yesterday. So
Okay.
Okay.
you
Uh,
both will have
uh,
the catalogs. They're from 2018, so they're not there's a couple part numbers that aren't the most updated, but it doesn't matter. I'll be able to help you if you guys get interest. So
Okay.
but it'll be a good resource you'll have on your shelf. I also sent you a PDF version of that. So if you guys can't find something, you can just control F
I,
on the PDF and it'll pull
Okay.
it up. Um, did you see that? What was that? Sorry, Doug.
I think I sent that to Andrew.
Perfect.
Yes, he did. Yes, you
Cool.
did.
Awesome.
So,
Yes.
all right. Well, hey, I appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir. I do appreciate it.
Yep. And I'll be working through other projects with you, Doug. After we get Andrew settled as far as her quotes, I want to knock out Knox Kershaw. So it's taking me a bit, but I still have all those projects on my radar. So
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well,
all righty.
sounds
Thank you
good.
so
All
much.
right, thanks.
All right.
Have
Thank
a good
y'all.
day.
Yep. Have a good
Bye.
one.
See you
Take
guys.
care. Bye.